In most cases, those of us living with HIV in Canada don't have any legal obligation to disclose our HIV status. There are laws in place to ensure that our health information remains private most of the time. In nearly every situation, it is entirely our choice whether or not we inform our family members, peers, co-workers, or friends of our HIV status. While we believe those of us living with HIV should have the choice to share our status or not, the criminal law in Canada unfortunately requires us to share our HIV status before certain kinds of sex. This video contains information about what laws may affect our decisions about sharing our HIV status with our sexual partners. Not disclosing our HIV status before some kinds of sex is considered a criminal offense in Canada. We oppose the use of this law because more often than not, it harms rather than helps our communities. The law considers a sexual partner to be a person of any gender with whom we are having sex. They may be a steady partner, a casual partner, a one-time hookup, or any other person we have sex with, even once. The criminal law says those of us living with HIV have an obligation to disclose our HIV status to our partners before engaging in sex that would pose a realistic possibility that HIV could be transmitted. The law can be used against those of us living with HIV, whether or not our partners actually become HIV positive. It is important to understand that what the law considers a realistic possibility of HIV transmission may be different than what science tells us. In 2012, the Supreme Court of Canada suggested that there is a realistic possibility of HIV transmission during vaginal, frontal hole, or anal sex without a condom, and vaginal, frontal hole, or anal sex with a condom unless we have a low viral load, less than 1,500 copies per milliliter. So in these circumstances, we have a legal obligation to disclose our HIV status before sex. If we don't follow this legal obligation, we may face criminal charges. Most often, those of us in this situation are charged with a serious crime known as aggravated sexual assault. This law applies whether or not we avoided answering a question from a partner or lied outright. HIV non-disclosure laws. Based on what the Supreme Court has said, we probably do not have a legal duty to disclose our status if we have a viral load under 1,500 copies per milliliter and use condoms during vaginal or frontal hole sex. We're having oral sex using a condom and have a viral load under 1,500 copies per milliliter, or we're kissing, giving handjobs, or masturbating with a partner. The criminal law applies to everyone living with HIV from ages 12 and up. If we are 17 and under, and are charged for not sharing our HIV status to a sexual partner, the law requires our parents or guardians to be informed of the charges. This legal rule means our HIV status will be disclosed to them, along with any medical or psychiatric report the court may order. It's unlikely that we will be found to have committed a criminal offense if we didn't know we had HIV when we had sex with our partner. While there is no definitive way to avoid being accused of HIV non-disclosure, there are some steps that we can take to reduce the chance that we will face charges. For example, we can clearly disclose our HIV status before anal, vaginal, or frontal hole sex, and discuss the possibility of HIV transmission and prevention at this time. Share our HIV status with our sexual partners in front of another person, for example, a healthcare provider or counselor. Ask sexual partners to sign a document or agree to a video recording indicating that we have made them aware of our HIV-positive status before sex. Keep copies of any documents or correspondence, letters, notes, emails, messages, texts, and chat room dialogues that can be used to show that we have told our partner about our HIV status before sex that poses a realistic possibility of transmission. Avoid activities that may pose a higher risk of HIV transmission, specifically vaginal or frontal hole and anal intercourse without a condom, and with a viral load above 1,500 copies per milliliter. Work with the doctor to maintain a viral load under 1,500 copies per milliliter. If we're worried about facing legal consequences, contacting our local AIDS organization can be a good first step towards finding help and support. Additionally, we may want to seek legal advice before deciding whether to disclose our status. Even though the law is scary and hard to talk about, getting information about the law can help us make decisions that are right for us. Understanding the criminal law that directly impacts those of us living with HIV can be scary. More information and support is available through YouthCo, the Canadian HIV/AIDS Legal Network, and local communities of people living with HIV.